Hey guys, what's up? It's Luke here again. Um, I'm joining you here today because I wanted to share with you my top 10 movies of 2015. 2015 is coming to an end. As you can hear, I have my intro music playing. Today it's Feeling Stronger Every Day by Chicago. It's a great song. Thanks again for joining me, guys. I really appreciate all the views. I have the list in front of me here on my phone. And determining this list, I was thinking, I mean, at first I thought like my top 10 best of the year, like what were the best movies I saw this year. And then it kind of got, I was looking at it and I thought, well, I'm just going to do my top 10 favorite films of the year because some of them were hard to determine, like, well, is that one, like, this film could be better than this other film, but I happen to like this other film more, even though one of them it's just it's a definitional thing, but I'm just saying my personal top 10 favorite films of 2015. By favorite, I mean the ones I had the most fun at the theater, had the most fun watching. Just my favorite. You know what a favorite is. So at number 10 we have The Martian. It came out not too long ago, a couple months ago. Ridley Scott directed it, based on the best-selling novel starring Matt Damon. Really good movie. Really, like, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this is super well made, like really good. This is way up there for me. But then, like, I started to think about it more, and a friend of mine, really good friend of mine, he kind of talked to me about it, and like he didn't like the movie that much, and it's my number 10, so obviously I really liked it, but like he didn't like it as much, and I was like, what do you mean? And the more he said stuff about it, the more it kind of lost stuff. Not that like he made me think it was bad, but he just kind of made me realize it was kind of a little bit paint by numbers at points, a little bit. It was just kind of like, wow, that was really good, but that's it. Like it wasn't one that really stuck with me that much. So that's kind of why it's down lower. And then at number 9 we have The Night Before. Now, not a lot of people went to see this movie, and I went to see it not really expecting much. I just thought, I really like Seth Rogen, really like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I enjoy Anthony Mackie in most things he's in. Um, but I just went to see it. I thought it'd be funny, and I loved it. I don't know. It hit me exactly right. It's about these friends that have this tradition they do during the holidays. I have a tradition I do with a group of my friends during the holidays, and it really hit me. And it was hilarious, super heartfelt, and I was in 1,000%. It didn't skip a beat for me. I really wish more people went and saw it. I think this might be a movie for me that I watch every year. That's really how hard it hit me as a holiday movie. Okay, and then at number 8 we have Ex Machina. Came out this last spring, I believe. Really small, kind of indie movie. Really, really good. Super smart about artificial intelligence. Um, I really liked it. It was a movie that when I got out, I was shocked, and I I just thought about this film for a long time, and I still think about it sometimes. But it was one that I just got out of the theater and was just like, ugh, my mind was just like blown, man. It was really, really good. Definitely not for everybody, I would say, but just a super great modern science fiction, slick, interesting movie that will keep you thinking about it for a long time, I think. Okay, then at number 7, we have Inside Out, the Pixar's newest film, probably their best film in quite a while, maybe one of their best of all time, I would say. Um, Inside Out to me was just so smart, Just it was just like watching it, you're just like, wow, this is just an incredible movie. It was like, I mean, just had such a good lesson for kids, and it was just so heartfelt and hit hard. Like this one, it doesn't have the same kind of like great beat for beat story or like story arc or adventure that most kids movies have for kids, because this was more conceptual, more about big ideas, and that's why it kind of hit more with adults and smaller children. I think it kind of polarized some of the middler age kids, because some of it were like, This is just dumb about little toys that, live in your head, and then, that's, I mean, which I get, but for me it hit really hard. Fun fact, I did cry during this movie, and I hadn't cried in probably 3 years, I think. So it was very emotional. Just so good. Pretty much everyone you talk to says they loved it. Super well made movie. Okay, then at number six we have Spotlight. This is one of the movies that just came out. Very smaller movie again about the Boston Herald, or no, the Boston Globe, I think. Yeah, the Boston Globe that broke the big story on Catholic priests and child molestation, and just really such a real movie. Like, it felt like real people, and just kind of like when a bad thing happens that you don't want to believe, how you just like in your head just make excuses and try not to think about it, and how that can really take over a whole group of people. Is just not an easy movie to watch, but very important. I think everyone really should see it. Very incredibly well made movie. And the nice thing about it is this could have easily just been an Oscar bait movie. Like, oh, we have all these big name actors getting these meaty like monologues, like, look, saying, hey, this isn't right, we need to take a stand on this. But it really didn't have much of that, which I was happy about. It just felt so real. These actors didn't feel like they were acting, they felt like real people, which I think is the best thing, especially a movie like that could do. Definitely check that out. Okay, then number five is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Such a good movie. And I was going to put this lower just because I think, like, Spotlight and probably, like, Inside Out and The Martian are probably, like, better movies, maybe, like, better made movies. But I was just thinking, Mission Impossible, man, I enjoyed that more than all those other movies because it was just so much fun and, like, such a greatly paced movie. And, like, I rewatched it because I got it on Blu-ray the first day it came out. And I'm just like, man, that is just such a good movie. How many franchises have their best one as number five? It's the fifth one. Like, that is crazy. I think it's by far my favorite Mission Impossible. It just did everything right, and in a way that you really like. I don't know. It's just so much fun, so much action. Just it brought back the intrigue and the and just the actual spy aspect of those movies with all that great action. It was just fantastic across the board. Loved that movie. Loved watching it. Okay, then at number four, I have Sicario. That came out this summer, late summer, I think. Maybe early fall. With Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin, Emily Blunt, directed by Denis Villeneuve, I believe is how you say his name. And he's becoming one of my favorite indie directors. He did Enemy and Prisoners. And those two movies both just completely blew me away and opened up my mind in ways that I didn't really think was possible. So I was super excited to see this. And it didn't hold back, man. Sicario is probably the one movie that I've thought about more than any other one. It stuck with me to the core. Like, right after it was over, like, weeks later, like, I just kept thinking about it. Like, stuff would just creep up in my subconscious. And that's when you know you have a really good movie and a really deep storyteller, because that stuff was in my bones. Like, that's how much I freaking loved Sicario. If you want to compare it to his other movies, like, it's kind of like people were unfairly comparing it to Prisoners because that was his last movie and it was a big mainstream one too. But this one's more of a it's more of a thriller, less of a psychological thriller, I would say. And it's not like hard to watch, but it's a very incredibly made movie. So intense, your heart will just be beating out of your chest, and all that is earned. It doesn't feel fake. It feels like you, as a person, is in that world of the drug lords, and that's not a place you want to be. I'll tell you that. But incredible. I love that movie. Okay, then at number three, pretty recent movie, Creed, the seventh, it's seventh, yeah, seventh Rocky installment. This could be like my favorite Rocky. I think it might be. Like I know I talked about it a little bit before, but I think I might like it more than the original Rocky. Just it was just so perfect. And I mean, spin-off movies traditionally don't do anything. Like they're not good, they're not fun to watch, they usually don't make money. It's usually just like, ah, well, this franchise is really popular, we'll just spin off this character and we'll make a little bit more money. But this was like a passion project by Ryan Coogler. Michael B. Jordan is fantastic. Stallone gives the best performance of his career, in my opinion. He definitely should be nominated for an Oscar. One of my favorite movies of the year. If you want a visceral experience, an emotional journey, I was literally sweating in the theater. Like, it was getting me so pumped up, so many emotions, and it is just incredible. Everything that you want out of a Rocky movie and more delivers on all the promises. Plus, it's just an amazing movie. Even if you don't really like the Rocky movies, you'll like this. I guarantee it. A great mix of old and new. And also, speaking of that, my number two. Now, my number one and my number two, I struggled with. Just flipping them back and forth, because I really didn't know. I didn't want to be a fanboy. And I just kind of. My number two is Mad Max Fury Road. Now, this movie, the whole year, I was like, this is my number one movie of the year. And until you see what my number one is, you've probably guessed already what it is. But this one, I said, that was a perfect movie. And I'm a Mad Max fan, and I saw it and said, that was incredible. I don't know how he made that. The practical effects were insane. People complain about the story, but it's like, it was an amazing movie, and the story made sense. And it just like... To me, that was the most perfect movie I saw all year, probably. And it just was so incredibly well made and just so true to itself. And there's such a unique thing that just made it amazing and just a great experience. And I'm so glad that it was, successful enough that there are talks for a sequel. I really hope they do it. It was hard to put number two because it was just so good and I had such a good experience with it. And if I did my top 10 best and not my top 10 favorite, Mad Max would probably be number one. But unfortunately, it got beat out, and you've probably already guessed what my number one is. It's Star Wars, Episode 7. And I just saw it for the second time. And I loved the hell out of it. The second time, way more even. And I see movies I like twice a lot of times, but this one just did more for me the second time. Star Wars, I had a Star Wars talk on here. I said how Episode 7 was probably my most anticipated movie of all time, the movie that I've been most excited for my whole life. And because those expectations were so I tried to break them down a little bit, not have them so high, but what's in your soul you can't do that to. So I saw it and I was like, wow, that was so good, but now it's over. You think about, oh, I speculated about this, oh, I heard something about that, is that gonna happen? No, okay. And then you just go on this journey like, God, please don't suck, please don't suck, please don't suck. And then it's over and you're like, wow, that was great. But then you don't really get a feel for what it really is. And then I saw it a second time and I was like, okay, fantastic. Probably, I don't know, it's probably my... If I had to put, I agree with the popular opinion out there that in order of the best Star Wars movies, it goes Episode 5, Episode 4, then Episode 7, then Episode 6, then 3, then 1, then 2, or whatever with the prequels. Doesn't really matter. But for me, this movie, I've been waiting, when I was a kid and I loved Star Wars, I never, ever thought there would be an Episode 7. I just didn't think they'd ever make them anymore because I was like, well, those actors are older now. That was a long time ago. Where are they going to go from here? It was a happy ending. And to be able to make it actually Star Wars, Like, that was the best part, was it wasn't some weird sci-fi thing. They didn't go too new. From the minute it started, it was 100% Star Wars. And I couldn't ask for anything more than that. And it just was so good. Like, people have been complaining about it, and they're saying things because everybody has a voice now, and people are just like, oh, well, I didn't like Star Wars Episode 7 because it's just like Episode 4. Okay, yeah, well, maybe there's parallels in the Star Wars universe everywhere, and if you look at Episode 4, that was like the prototypical hero's journey adventure story. So I think that's a pretty good thing. And that's what made me love it was Star Wars. It wasn't these prequels, because the prequels didn't have great characters. It didn't have a fun story. It didn't have a sense of realism, even though it's fantastical and realistic at the same time. Like, everything the prequels were, even though I don't hate them as much as a lot of people, but like when you watch them, you're just disappointed, and it doesn't feel like Star Wars. It feels like George Lucas fan fiction. But this was Star Wars, and like I keep saying, Star Wars to me is way more than just movies. Like, the movies are what they are, and they bring you into the world, but the world is real. The world is the place you go to with all the toys you buy, with all the posters and shit I have on my walls, and the games you buy, and the time you spend imagining that world being real and taking yourself there. Like, that's why you can sit down and watch the prequels, because, like, it still is in that world. Like, if it's not just movies to me, like, the movies, it's so much more than that. It always has been. And the fact that this movie was so good and just like such a great template to set everything up, I honestly, I would not guess that we would have that good of a Star Wars movie that's that similar to the original trilogy, that's real Star Wars. I would never have guessed that would happen. And I'm just so happy. I can't wait to see it so many more times. And sorry, I got on a little rant there. But yeah, so that's why, because I'm not that passionate about Mad Max. As you can see, I'm way more passionate about Star Wars. That was the most fun I've had at a theater. I cannot wait to see it again. So I'm going to run down that list one more time for you. Number 10, The Martian. Number 9, The Night Before. Number 8, Ex Machina. Number 7, Inside Out. Number 6, Spotlight. Number 5, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Number 4, Sicario. Number 3, Creed. Number 2, Mad Max. And of course, number 1, Star Wars. As far as some honorable mentions go, there were some good ones. Like, The Big Short was pretty good. I'm not really thinking of a lot right now, I guess, but there were a few. Oh, the Peanuts movie I really liked a lot. There were just some here and there that I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, but it's not my top 10. And like I said at the beginning, this wasn't my top 10 best, my top 10 favorite. And obviously, I'm Star Wars. What else can I say? Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know, I'm trying to get better at these videos. I know I'm not very good at them, but anyway, check me out on Twitter. It's just at LukeLarson89. You see me on YouTube. Keep checking me out. I got a lot of stuff planned coming up. I'm really excited about growing my channel, and thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it, and may the Force be with us all.